Hello there, and thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. Our top stories this hour. Senior high schools reopen as final year students prepare for their exams. The day is almost over. We touch base with our correspondents across the country for updates on outcomes from day one of reopening after a long COVID-19 break. And Ghana apologizes to Nigeria as investigations begin in earnest over how a structure raised on the premises of the Nigerian High Commission was demolished under what witnesses describe as national security protection. We hear from the Foreign Affairs Minister as the acting Nigerian High Commissioner also speaks, the National Security Minister and the Inspector General of Police, who were all there this afternoon. Also in this edition, more fallout from the NPP primaries as opposition NDC demands immediate release of pastors and church members who were prosecuted for breaching COVID-19 safety protocols. They argue the NPP delegates did worse. More as we also hear from my colleague Gary L. Smith, who comes face to face with stigmatization after testing positive. We're live on your digital television, also on DSTV 421, GoTV 144. We stream live on YouTube. We'll appreciate your thoughts on 0540-109-009. My name is Gifty Ando Apia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest.
All right, here at the residence of the Nigerian High Commission to Ghana, and the destruction that you see behind me, it's the staff quarters that has been
That's a glimpse of what we have for you this afternoon. You'll be hearing from some Nigerian residents in Ghana protesting the shutdown of their shops since December last year. Their resolve has been spared by the demolition of a staff quarters at the Nigerian High Commission here in Accra. The situation is heightening tensions between the two countries, with several Nigerian organizations issuing strongly worded statements demanding sanctions against Ghana. But this afternoon, JoyNews has returned to that facility to observe the start of official inquiries into the matter. The Foreign Affairs Minister Shelia Yukoboche, the IGP James Opon-Bueno, and the National Security Minister Albert Kandapa have all visited the scene of the destruction this afternoon. JoyNews editor Fred Smith reports.
All right, here at the residence of the Nigerian High Commission to Ghana, and the destruction that you see behind me, it's the staff quarters that had been put up by the High Commission to help with the accommodation of staff and also the diplomats who visit the High Commission. And Friday night, these armed men stormed here with bulldozers and decided to demolish it. And today, we've had the Foreign Affairs Minister, Shelia Yukoboche, visiting here.
We continue to work together. I mean, even with friends or siblings, there's bound to be issues. But it is how the issues are resolved that will determine the friendship going forward. And I think that we will do all we can to resolve this matter. It can never be plain sailing. For where relationships are concerned. These things will happen that will shake relationships, but I believe that if we stick together and we resolve it, it will be okay.
Who's going to bear the cost of coming?
This is the Foreign Ministry you're talking to. The appropriate agencies will deal with this matter. We have come to have a look at it, to have first-hand information, so that when we are doing our part, we'll be able to do it with a lot of information from a point of view of first-hand information. The other agencies, police is seized with the matter, national security is also seized with the matter, the Lands Commission, under the Lands Ministry will also deal with it. We'll all be involved in this matter. I wasn't here. I do not know the identity of the people. My job is to ensure that they are protected under the Vienna Convention as a foreign ministry.
But the head of the Osu traditional area has released a statement. Is that indicating that they know something about it?
All this will be investigated by the Ghana police. It doesn't fall within my purview to make those assertions, but I believe that no stone will be unturned. Everything will be done to ensure that we bring the perpetrators to book.
The IGP has also followed, the National Security Minister has also followed.
No consent. We have no litigation against us. We were just taken unaware. Somebody that come to your premises around 1 a.m.
I've never been invited.
No, neither. Not to my knowledge. I can tell you that.
You have not lodged any complaint, any part of the police?
Even through the normal channels.
You mean we lodged a complaint?
Not
yeah.
Yes, after it happened on Monday.
No, before then.
No.
Was there anything?
There was no incident.
There was no claim to the...
No.
You don't pick on the diplomatic premises. We consider this a serious violation.
And our government condemns it strongly.
And you have papers that
we have our
given
documents. Yes.
Documents.
Yes, complete.
We wish to brief them on the acquisition of the land and then how...
I think that will be done.
No, I think we'll be talking to them today at 2 o'clock. So.
Commissioner, I even sent you a letter when the places, I don't know what I said.
When was it?
That must have been
on the Wednesday.
But then it hasn't gotten through me. You sent it through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, right?
No, I sent it directly to you.
So I haven't seen it.
Then we are requesting for... Because the people who went to
requested for Monday.
Did not show up. They didn't show.
But you have my number. You call me often. So why didn't you call me on
I
this?
felt that, hence we have reported...
When it really mattered, rather you decide to write. You should have called me on phone. That's the night. The letter didn't get to me.
I actually called the diplomatic police and they requesting that please, this is what happened and there is need for deployment of the police here. So what he told me was that we should write through the IG. That is what he said, and which we did. And even on the Friday that this thing happened, in the morning, I was at the fraud unit. I went there to see the man in charge, and we discussed. And I told him that there is need for something to be done, and also, if there is anything, they should write. They know the channel of communication. They should write. And he promised. I left my card. A commission that you can even send out an advance copy. We will respond to it. But nothing came until late evening, and then the destruction. The person who came the first time returned and then caused this damage.
Now they've been taken round shortly after. But I want to show you around this particular facility. Now, the building you see here is exactly where the High Commissioner resides. So the High exactly. So this is an extension of that compound, and that is where the building has been put up. It shares a wall with a house that a land that belongs to a facility belonging to the Canadian High Commission in Ghana, and then the next one belongs to the the U.S. Embassy in Ghana, and then there's a private facility that also shares the wall. Now, behind that, that's where we have the building that has been demolished. So I can show around what has actually happened. Construction completely destroyed, and you can see some of the PVC pipes and blocks almost complete, because you can see all of these are the roofings. They've been removed. The building is still standing, but the parts have been completely destroyed. And earlier we had the charge the affairs of the Nigerian High Commission in Ghana, indicating that they would want the government of Ghana to rebuild this facility and also apprehend the persons behind this particular act. And we bring you details of all of that shortly.
fellow Nigerians, I know you are grieved. You don't like what has happened. But I want you to please keep your calm. Do you understand? There are negotiations going on between the Nigerian government and the Ghanaian government over this issue. And I believe it will be resolved properly. So please maintain your cool. Don't go into any form of violence. Everything will be brought under control and justice will be served.
Astariwa there, she is the acting Nigerian High Commissioner to Ghana. So Fred Smith has joined me in studio right now. So we'll get you a bit more of the insight into the story. Fred, she at this point is telling the Nigerians who I believe have gathered there to remain calm. Why was that even necessary?
Well, because a number of them, around 50 or more, had gathered at the facility, opposite the High Commission, demonstrating, and they were unhappy. A lot of the placards that I read indicated that their shops had been shut down by some persons in Ghana, and they mentioned Guta, they mentioned the police, and they are unhappy about it. This, they say, has happened since December. It's been about 8 months, they say, and they are not getting any response from them. They don't have any means of income, and so they're there, they are hungry and need their shops reopened.
So they essentially went there with their own
yes,
problems.
in fact, they were protesting about the demolition alongside this concern that they had, because they are home. They had nothing doing, and so they decided to join their concerns with this. We can hear some of them and what they say.
If you people are following the truth, we are Africans, and you close our shop for 8 months. 8 months. I have a children, I have family, and I have been suffering since that till today. And you are telling me you haven't able to carry the media. If you tell me you are a media man, say the truth. Let the whole country know that what your people are doing is not good. Guta hate us, and the government is pretending because of the election. It is not good. We are human beings. Okay? We are human beings. We are Africans. We are Nigerians. Even if you hate us, allow us to operate. You can't close our shop and telling us to keep quiet. And I know very well that all of you are going to edit it and use the one you like, because most of you people are not in our favor. You are not telling the truth. Ghanaian citizens don't know. Ghanaian citizens don't know what we are passing through. Let the Ghanaian citizens know what we are passing through. It is not about us. Your people are manipulating. They are pretending. They are pretending. They are not saying the truth. We are suffering. Okay? You have locked my shop 8 good months. Put it live. I'm saying it. I can prove it. And let me tell you, all of us are selling wholesale. It is your people. It is your people. If you say we are selling retail, let the government investigate. It is your people that is causing all this problem. If you people want us to do something, even if we make a mistake, let the government correct us. You can't lock somebody's shop for 8 months and the person is not eating. And let me tell you something. Use the law and justify what you are saying. Is Guta a government official task force agency? No. Is a Guta an authority to implement the law? No. Let them use the right channel. Let them open our shop. If we will make a mistake, we will correct it. We are law abiding. I know that I'm not perfect, but the truth must be told. Okay? If you say we are one Africa, we are ECOWAS. Let's not focus about the ECOWAS issue. Think about human being. You will tell me that Black Lives Matters. When you have closed our shop for 8 good months, do you know how many Nigerians that have died because of this particular issue? Do you know how many people died? Do you know what we are passing through? And all of you media are here not publishing it and telling the world to know the truth. I know very well you are going to audit this. I can look at your faces tomorrow. But you know what? You can travel to Europe and demand that Europeans are doing you bad and the Chinese are doing bad. But you people are pretenders. You people are naturally pretenders.
So some infuriated Nigerians there, Fred Smith, they talk about, this gentleman who speaks is talking about the need for an investigation, that the government should investigate this. But yes, we know that has started from your assessment.
Yes, indeed. The acting Nigerian High Commissioner, or Chargé d'Affaires, actually raised concern. She had some demands. She wanted Ghana to, within the shortest possible time, rebuild the facility that has been demolished, and also speed up investigation to apprehend those behind the destruction. But the Foreign Affairs Minister, Shelia Ayoko-Botwe, was quick to respond that the demolition is not a government-sanctioned activity, and so government has no hand whatsoever in what happened on Friday night. And so government's role in this whole thing is to facilitate the investigation, to bring those involved to justice, such that there will be calm, so that if anybody, the persons, if they are found, will be made if there's a need for reconstruction. Bear in mind that there's dispute over the land. There's admission that there's dispute over the land, and so they will go through the legal processes and to find out who the land really belongs to, and then they will resolve who, they will decide who is going to rebuild this facility. At the moment, that's where we are with it, investigations. And during the visit, we also saw the IGP coming there, the National Security Minister also coming there, because tensions were high outside the facility.
All right. Well, Fred, thank you very much. And that's an investigation that has just begun. We're keeping our eyes on it, and we'll bring you more. We'll also be finding out what kind of conversation is going on about this in Nigeria. We'll be talking to Amarachi Ubani. He's a foreign affairs correspondent with our partners Channels Television in Nigeria. But we want to find out from you, what are your thoughts and your concerns? Send us a WhatsApp message. This message says, "Good afternoon, Gifty. We're from those behind the demolition. You say Ghana is becoming unbecoming in terms of lawlessness, and I think we have to be careful with situations upon situations in this country." I'll take a very quick break. When I return, we connect to Nigeria. We'll also bring you the fallout from the NPP's primaries, because the NDC just this afternoon has been holding a press conference. What are they saying? They're talking about COVID-19 protocols and the fact that they have been breached. We're also having this edition for you a look at how the reopening for final year students to go to school went. Do stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Let's get to Nigeria. I said that we will get there to find out what sort of talk is going on in Nigeria over this. How is the media there even reporting this? I have on Zoom Amarachi Ubani. She is foreign affairs correspondent for our partners Channels TV. Amarachi, thank you so much for your patience. Do tell us, how is this story panning out in Nigeria?
Well, the media houses are focused on the basics. There is no speculation about this story. They're concentrating on the fact that a Nigerian building was demolished by someone, a businessman, reportedly in Ghana, claiming rights over the land. And the fact that, the Ghanaian government did nothing when the man attempted to bring down the fence, and then came in later in the middle of the night, and then, with his bulldozers and knocked down the building. And the fact that, the Nigerian High Commission had reached out to the Ghanaian government and there was no response from them for the period of time that the man pulled down the building as much as he could. So media houses are reporting the basics, but they're also looking at the reaction of the Nigerian government, which is important here. Many are calling for stricter measures against what has happened. We understand the Minister of Foreign Affairs has met with the Chargé d'Affaires of the Ghanaian High Commission in Nigeria, and looking for answers as to why this was even allowed to even happen in the first place. Just the basics going on in the media, and people fishing out for more stories, more in-depth analysis on what has happened and what the next actions should be concerning what has happened.
Regarding what the next action should be, you've indicated that there are talks for the Nigerian government to take stricter actions. Are there any? Do the people who make this argument provide any suggestions as to what the Nigerian government can do in terms of response to this development?
Most of the reactions are coming from fellow Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians, not analysts or people who are diplomats, people in that category. They're coming from people who are passionate about what has been going on in Ghana, people that are recalling other instances where, Ghanaians have mistreated Nigerians and are calling up the citizens and saying that this is too much, this is what has happened. We need to send a strong warning to Ghana and so on. No response yet, really, from the diplomatic community. But the Minister of Foreign Affairs seems to want to follow protocol on this. He's invited the Charge d'Affaires. He has reached out to the Ghanaian government, says the Nigerian government is discussing with the Ghanaian government on how to go about this. We understand your government has also apologized to Nigeria and says it's investigating. So Nigerians are anxiously awaiting, the next steps that are going to be taken. And we hope to see action in the next few days. And we're hoping that the government really responds and that this doesn't even turn out to be a diplomatic row at the end. But the people are just shocked that, someone, an individual in Ghana, could single-handedly pull down a Nigerian building, a diplomatic building, on Nigerian ground, if you might say, because this is happening, within the confines of the Nigerian government in Ghana. So it's just really surprising.
And when you talk about the fact that our foreign affairs minister or the Ghanaian government has apologized to Nigeria and said that this issue is being investigated, it's interesting you say, because that just happened today. I get the impression that a lot of people are following the development day by day, or if you like, minute by minute. What response has come on the back of this apology as well?
Well, the response to that, I think the Ghanaian government actually responded yesterday, because we did carry a story about the Ghanaian government responding to what had happened, saying that they would begin an investigation into the demolition. They wanted to find out what happened and everything. People really, really want to see more action, not just because the rumors, and I call them rumors because no one has confirmed them, the rumors going around here is that the individual did this without any opposition. So if the Ghanaian government is going to investigate, people want to know how. People want to know what will be done. What are the repercussions for doing this? What will be the punishment for doing this? Will the individual be found? Will he be brought to book? Will he answer for the consequences of this action?
Well, these are early days yet, I'll say. And the Ghanaian government, of course, tells us that they're investigating. Like you said, the response is what a lot of people are looking forward to. What will that response be as we move on? Ubani, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Amarachi Ubani is Foreign Affairs correspondent with our partners, Channels Television, with that update on the Nigeria-Ghana diplomatic, or what looks like a diplomatic row that's brewing. He says that Nigerians are insisting that their government takes a more stricter position on this. We'll keep our eyes on it and we'll bring you more of that. Let's take a focus on students returning to school after a rather long COVID-19 break. We begin from up north. Headmaster of Wa Senior High School, Simon Yeng, has disclosed that the school has made advanced preparation for the final year student of the school. And we'll be touching base with Rafiq Salam for the very latest. But before that, the headmaster also said, in addition to personal protective equipment, the government has also provided for the school, they have also gone on their own to provide some of the things needed. Rafiq Salam put together this report. Take a look before we get to him live.
You know, we're depending so much on the arrival of the PPEs. Thank God, on Saturday, we took delivery of some of the PPEs. They have given us Veronica buckets, they have given us hand sanitizers, and some thermometer guns. In fact, what we haven't received is a liquid soap and then tissues. But on our own, at the school level, we are trying to see, we have provided not enough anyway, but the rest of the things that are left, so that we will start with, and all is set for us to receive the students.
So looking around, are the students, have they started coming?
Well, just about 1 or 2 came in. Even on Saturday, I saw 2 students who came in. We are just, for now, the rest have not come. But we're expecting that any moment from 12 or 11 onwards, they'll start arriving as they normally do.
What about the teachers, the staff? Are they in position to teach them?
Yes. The staff, we are ready because we had a staff meeting and we discussed all that. Our timetable is ready. Housemasters are set to receive the students into the various houses.
How many students do you expect to be in school?
Yeah, we're expecting in all the candidates we have, there are 446. We are a single track, so we are not expecting from 2 gold students. So we are just dealing with the 446 candidates.
In terms of social distancing, classroom division, how are you going to go about it?
We don't have a problem. Our classrooms we have too many classrooms. And we are here, we are trying to make use of as many classrooms as possible. So we are not going to exceed a 25 maximum per class. In some cases, there will be less.
What message do you have for parents who have their wards coming to the school?
I'm only appealing to parents to try and then prepare their wards to come to school. We know that government is providing some face masks, but we think parents should supplement because just 3 may not be enough. We know they are reusable, but if parents can also add a few, I think it will go a lot to help. We're also appealing to parents that they shouldn't entertain fears. We are prepared. Whatever protocol is to be put in place for their children to be safe in school, we are going to ensure that. In terms of the provisions, they should have them, things that they need. Because when they come to the school here, we are going to hold assemblies with them and also let them know that the past way of sharing that, oh, this is my friend, hugging, shaking hands, and doing all those things. Using those who are performing abolition, they're using common things. We want them as much as possible. That should stop. So we want to impress upon parents to try and provide all the necessary things that they will need to be independent in as far as the use of these things are concerned.
That's Rafiq Salam's report. Rafiq joins us on Zoom before we take you to the Ashanti region. Hello, Rafiq.
50.
Rafiq, what more can you report? I mean, this was... What is there to tell?
Half an hour ago, I passed the Wa Senior School again, and I saw a handful of students being driven into the school for them to restart or reopen the school. And so, like you have heard from the headmaster of the school, they have put in advanced preparation for the students to return to the Wa Senior High School. When I visited there in the morning, already the tutors, including the headmaster, they were locked at a meeting as to how things was supposed to go. And so the headmaster, Mr. Simon, told me that they are already prepared for the students to come, and even in terms of social distancing and also classroom crowding, they wouldn't have any problem regarding that, because already they have more than enough classrooms to take care of those things. But he also have advice for parents in terms of the personal protective equipment at the school. They are saying that one government is providing face mask 3 for each student. At least the parents could complement that with either 2 or 3 in order to save the lives of their wards.
But Rafiq, one of the key things that have come up is that parents have been a little bit apprehensive. A little bit is perhaps an understatement, but parents have been generally apprehensive about taking their children to school. And there have been calls for these students and their teachers to be tested. What conversation is going on in the Upper West region about this reopening, especially as it started today?
The reaction of parents in the Upper West region, I will tell you that it's mixed because yes, it's just a case of somebody who wants the father and wants the mother also because they want their children to be at school, and at the same time also have the fears that they don't want them to be infected with the coronavirus. And so, yes, they want their their wards to be at school and then also to finish hard with the WASI. But here's the case: they have this huge challenge about them being infected with the coronavirus. And so there's a lot of talk going on in the Upper West region. Yes, some of them are reluctant that they may not like their children to go to school. But if they also to go to school, they can also write the WASI. But the headmaster of the Wasi High School, Mr. Simon Yuna, has allayed the fears of any parent who is in doubt, and they are saying that the children will be protected if they are at the school. But some of the teachers also mooted this idea of them not being having enough personal protective equipment. Because when I was coming out, I met a teacher who wants his identity to be anonymous, and he was telling me that they have fears that some of these students may be coming down from the south, especially of Boise, and then they have fears that they may come with a disease. And so the question now goes that are the teachers protected enough at least to save themselves because they are the ones going to receive the students when they come into their school.
Rafiq, thank you very much for that update there. Rafiq Salam with his rounds that he's made in the Upper West region. We'll take you to Kumasi shortly, but let's return to Accra. A head teacher is expressing satisfaction at the ongoing disinfection exercise at his school, especially and the fact that it's not just a school, but it's across the various schools in parts of Accra to control a possible spread of COVID-19. The disinfection exercise that has been going on for some time now by Zoom Lion comes as final year JHS people also reopen or prepare to resume school in readiness for their basic education certificate examination. JoyNews' PSA Namaya Osafo visited one of such schools in Ablekuma.
Yeah, before this week, we met last week with the school board, the PTA, and selected students, and we informed them about all the safety protocols the government has put in place. So the school has procured personal protection equipment like biometric buckets, sanitizers, face masks, and other things that will help to protect the workers and the students as well. So we have prepared ourselves for next week reopening. Oh, fortunately for us, we are not many. We are not even up to 20, and our classrooms are very spacious. So we have done a pilot. So they came and we did it, and we are okay. We are okay with the sitting arrangements.
Now, the officer leading the disinfection exercise also spoke to us.
You see the present directive that he gave. Schools are reopening by Monday, and we cannot separate the private schools from the public schools. So we are doing all private and public schools because they are all reopening on Monday. And the pandemic that we are having doesn't know the private school and the public school. So we have to do everything together so that we safeguard public health.
And so far, how has the process been?
It has been cool. It has been... The teachers are very cooperative, the head teachers are very cooperative, and it is moving on well. The only thing is that we have a limited time to ensure that all schools are disinfected.
How many schools are in your roster that you're working on?
In Greater Accra, we have over 4,500 schools in Greater Accra alone. And we are making sure that we finish all the 4,500 schools before Monday. Today we anticipated of starting work around 6 a.m. and because of the rains, it delayed the whole thing. So these are normal challenges that come in the course of duty. So we are also working, we are looking at from tomorrow having a team that is doing the morning and the evening shift so that at least by the end of the day we cover all the places that we have not covered. Because the places that we have not covered, if we don't cover the school cannot be opened for lessons by Monday. Yeah. We are entreating the teachers that as they come and go through their normal syllabus, they should let them have some lessons on this COVID thing that has met all of us. Because when we go around, the schools that we go, you can see some kids around, and if you see the way they are carrying themselves, there's a little bit of fear in that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
So that's it for the junior high schools here in Accra. And indeed, the disinfection exercise has been going on across both the junior high schools and the senior high schools. Let's now head to Ashanti region. Correspondent Namaya Aljima has been speaking to some teachers and students there.
So in all schools, according to the head teachers, they've received all supplies to help ensure that the protocols are well adhered to. I'm currently in Opokwari School, and here the dormitories and also classrooms have been decongested to be able to accommodate the students who are coming in. I have with me here the head teacher of the school, Reverend Father Stephen Osuseche, who will be updating us on what they've been able to do so far in regards to COVID-19 protocols.
As you know, students are coming. They started coming around 7 a.m. this morning, and we were ready by 6 o'clock to receive them. We had received all the necessary PPEs yesterday. So, around 6 o'clock, 6 p.m., we had everything. We spent time to put them together. And then this morning, teachers started coming first. Around 6 teachers were here, and then we gave them the PPEs, nose masks, and the hand sanitizer. We have put all the vertical buckets in vantage points, and then when students started coming, we checked their temperature, and then we have had some stands around the school. So when you check temperature, you're okay, you go to where your housemaster is, and then you register. And then when you register, it's there that you'll be given your nose masks and your hand sanitizer. In the dormitory, you have distance the beds, and then your number. Because school use numbers, not names. So you put your number on your bed. That's where you're going to sleep. So when you do that tomorrow morning, you will come back to the classroom and then do same. You distance that. Every classroom, some big classrooms have 30 students, and the smaller ones have 25. We decided not to go beyond 30. So we put them in 30 and 25, and then we will put your number on your seat, your desk. That's where you will sit for classes and for prep. That's
right. Thank you very much. So we also have the Kumasi Metropolitan Chief Executive, who is also touring some of the schools in the Ashanti region, and we want to know what he has observed so far.
Well, first of all, you see, I have my director, I have my Metro Director of Education with me. Even before I came here, an inspectorate team has already moved in and inspected everything. So that is why when I came, the first thing I went to interact with was the inspectorate team. So this is the time that the school inspectorate team are going to be taxed to be working more than they used to be. Because nowadays they will not be sitting in their various offices. Always they have to be moving out, going out, and whatever the challenges is, then they will report to us. Because we have 2 committees that are in place. We have the health committee that is already in place, and we have the emergency health committee, also emergency public health committee also in place already. So all these 2 committees are there working. So all what we need is the inspectorate team to just report to us, then we move in.
So did you go to school, or if you are a parent, did your children go to school? Let me connect with my colleague Nanayo Jima for more of what he found on the ground. Hello, Nanayo. Nanayo, generally, what has the response been, today being the first day? Apart from what you found on the ground, generally, what has the response been?
So moving from school to school in the Ashanti region, some parents are willingly bringing their children to school, but the numbers are not as huge as you expect when school reopens, especially when students or wards have been home for more than 2 months, even though their academic calendar is not yet ended. Parents are reluctant to bring their wards to school. Some of the wards or some of the students are excited that they are back in school, especially the final year students, because they've been looking forward to this day for very long. And some I spoke to at the Sakafia Senior High School, Kumasi Academy Senior High School, and also Opokwari School, all tell me they are looking forward to other colleagues joining them for classes to start. And some of them are excited about the protocols that have been put in place to ensure that, to check the spread of COVID-19.
The PPE is a bit of a concern for a lot of the parents. They've raised concerns about testing even for the students and the teachers. Is there any development on the provision of PPE for these teachers and students?
So at Opokwari School, for instance, I saw students being handed PPEs, that's the locally manufactured ones, 2 per student. And also some were given, or all of them that I saw were given hand sanitizers. And so when you walk in, your temperature is checked, you check for your name on a board. And for the new room you've been allocated to, because there have been changes in the structure now. Some of them have been given have been assigned new rooms and also new classrooms, even though you continue with what you were learning before there was a break. So you have to check all these things. You walk to another table where you are given a PPE, that's the nose mask, too, and also a hand sanitizer before you are shown your new room and the beds you are allocated to. So PPEs are not much of a challenge in the schools that I visited. According to the headmasters that I spoke to, they've received all items that government promised to give them.
Nanayo, thank you very much for that update. Nanayo Jima there, who joined me all the way from the Ashanti region, he has done a report, gone to a number of schools there. So we'll be talking to the Ghana Education Service on their preparation. I mean, how prepared they are for the number of days or the number of weeks that these students are supposed to be in school whilst they write their exams. Cassandra Chumampofo will be joining me. But let's hear from President of the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools, Alhaji Yakub Abi Abubakar, who says about 70% of schools have so far received personal protective equipment as the students resume today. President Akufo-Addo, as you're well aware of by now, has said that government has distributed 18,000 Veronica buckets, 800,000 sanitizers, 36,000 rolls of tissue paper, and 36,000 gallons of liquid soap, as well as 7,200 thermometer guns. Let's hear from Charles.
As said by our president, the PPEs too, by the grace of God, within Saturday and Sunday, most of the schools have received the PPEs. Talking about the nose masks, talking about the thermometer guns, talking about the Veronica buckets, and then the sanitizers, they have reached quite a good number of schools, though there are some few that are yet to pick theirs this morning as a result of late arrival of those items as of yesterday.
How many schools have been supplied as of this morning?
On the average, we will say over 70% of schools have been supplied since the supply started.
Are we working with the total number of 450 senior high schools?
Come again?
Are we working with a total number of 450 senior high schools? I know that was the number when the public
that number, our senior high schools number is far more than that. We are working of 700 plus number.
Okay, 700.
Yes, please.
And out of this 700, 70% have
over
received.
70% have received. In fact, it's just some few that have not yet, and others, as at yesterday when we were going to bed, they were even driving to the centers to go and pick their items. We are hopeful by afternoon today, as I speak to you, from this morning, the distribution will continue, and by afternoon today, almost all should have received theirs, unless there is a technical problem somewhere.
As the president of CHAS, speaking to my colleague Daniel Dazi on Prime Morning. Let's head to the Education Service, the Ghana Education Service, and speak to its spokesperson, Cassandra Chumampofo. Cassandra, thank you for your time this afternoon.
Good evening, Gifty, and thanks for having me.
So we understand, I mean, my colleague from the Ashanti region has just reported that as far as his checks are concerned, there weren't any problems with PPEs. How many schools, and can you tell, if you can give us some evidence to that effect, whether all the schools have received these PPEs as outlined by President Akufo-Addo?
All right, Gifty. Yes, I can confirm that all the schools have received. In fact, if a school has not received the PPE till now, then probably they are still picking it up. But all PPEs have gotten to the region. That one, there is no doubt about it. all PPEs have gotten to the regions and they are taken up. A while ago, I spoke to the Eastern Regional Director, and then she confirmed that the remaining, because they were left with sanitizer and then I think tissues, yes, and they have received them as well. In the morning, they had the mask and the Veronica bucket and the liquid soap, and they have now gotten the sanitizers. In fact, all PPEs have gotten to the regions, and they are distributing. In fact, the schools have also picked them up. So if at this time a school has not gotten it, it doesn't mean that it hasn't gotten to the region. I'm sure the distribution is ongoing. They all have it.
Shouldn't these distributions have been made before the schools reopened today?
Yes, we started the process last weekend. You know, there are many, and the items that are being sent to the schools are also many. And so we need to take out, when the trucks get to the regions, we have to offload and then share among the region, the district, the schools within each district. It takes us some time. So yes, we should have done that, but we started during the weekend, and then we hope to finish by the end of the day, yeah.
The students are expected to be in school for how long? 3 months?
The student, no, six weeks. They will be in school from now to July 31st, and then take their exams from August 3rd to September 4th, and then they will exit. SHS2 Gold will vacate on the 31st of July.
Okay. And
so they will be in school for 6 weeks.
For 6 weeks?
Yes.
This applies to both senior high school and junior high school?
No.
Help
this
me.
Applies to the senior high school, SHS3, and then the SHS Gold.
Okay, and then what happens with the junior high schools?
The junior high school students, as a JHS3, will go to school on the 29th. That's next week, Monday, exactly a week today. And they will be in school for 11 weeks, from June 29th to September 11th. And then they'll use 1 week to write their exit exams. That's from September 14th to September 18th. So they will be in school for 11 weeks and then write their exams and then exit.
There have been calls for some sort of testing, at least for these students and some of the teachers. Is that something that the Ghana Education Service is at least working on, because we know that has not been done?
Kindly come again. I didn't hear you well.
I'm asking about the calls or some of the concerns raised by some parents that teachers and students should be tested before they go. And I'm saying that, is this something you are considering, at least because we know that it's not something that has been done already?
Yeah, that hasn't been done. And in fact, we per the science and data that we all rely on, and per the Ghana Education Service, we are not the experts when it comes to health matters. But we all know, Gifty, that we have been told that a test today or a negative today, even this morning, doesn't mean it will be negative in the afternoon. Then it means that we are going to test every now and then, like 3 times even in a day. And so the most important thing for all of us to do is to observe all the protocols that have been put in place to ensure that we are all safe. And when something, if a student or a teacher shows signs and symptoms, the person will be isolated, and the other measures, will continue. But as to their being tested, that hasn't come up. No, it hasn't come up.
Very well. The day has almost ended. It's 3:48 right now. The day has almost ended. What is the Ghana Education Service's assessment of how the reopening has gone so far?
I must say that it has gone so well. So far, so good, because the schools that we have visited, and even the places that we could not, the feedback from CHAS and some senior high school heads, in fact, have indicated to us that everything, they have received their PPEs. In terms of parents also going in with their wards, they are also excited. In fact, the students themselves are happy going back to school to finish. We all heard of COVID-19 at home. They already started observing the protocol, social distance, washing their hands, wearing their face masks. And so for them, it's a continuity. We feel that everything has started so well. And we also hope that while they are in school, they will continue to observe all the protocols so that we will not have any issues, and then they would exit or write their exams and then leave. So let me assure the parents, students still at home, that the schools are safe. We have disinfected the schools. We have put all measures in place to ensure that they are safe. Teachers are ready on standby. Everything is on course to ensure their safety. And so if a student or a parent is so thinking of whether to send the word, please do not doubt what we have put in place. Everything is on course, and we will ensure that each one, our students, our teachers, are safe on campus.
Cassandra, thank you very much. And it's still early days yet because they just started today. So I'm sure that from tomorrow we should be able to come to you with a lot more of the concerns we'll be picking up on the ground and get some of the responses. But I'll just read to you this message and then let you go. It says, when doctors, nurses, and even media men and women are observing COVID-19 protocols, he means that even though they are observing these protocols, they are still getting infected. How much more young students who are boisterous and difficult to control? The decision, he says, to open senior high schools in the name of writing WASI is not the best, and that's the facts. From Manaf Wakilu, it's not meant for a response, but if you want to have a go at it, by all means. Otherwise, that's it, and I say thanks.
Thanks, Gifty.
Cassandra Chumampofu speaks for the Education Ministry. They say it's still early days yet, but she's saying that per their assessment, it's gone well so far. We'll still be keeping our eyes on our situation. We'll go across the country. We'll bring you more of that. Let's do some politics right now. And you do know that the weekend was full of NPP activities. Of course, it was the NPP primaries. Now, chairman of the governing NPP, Freddie Blay, is fighting off claims that the loss of over 40 incumbent MPs in the just-ended parliamentary primaries would have dire consequences for the party in the upcoming December polls. Mr. Blay describes the loss of the MPs as regrettable. He, however, argues that the delegates chose candidates with the requisite acumen to advance the party's fortunes. Almost 25% of NPP MPs, including the chairman of the Finance Committee, Dr. Marcus Ibeyeboa, who contested to retain their seats in the just-ended primaries, lost. Some political watchers have observed that the move will hurt the NPP, but the chairman of the party disagrees. He's been speaking to JoyNews' Kwesi Parker Wilson.
We are yet to have the full report from the various constituencies, but offhand, I will say, speaking for myself as an individual, it's been a keenly contested primaries. Nothing that we could do in terms of influence, irrespective of what people may even say, that the party could have, as you mentioned, protected its sitting MPs, more so those who were manning various committees or even front benches and so forth. But going by a constitution, the constitution says we should do this. There is an extent to which you can persuade people not to participate or not to partake in the primaries. We did try in some cases to do so. But at the end of the day, a contest is the very first rule about democracy. And our constitution, the party's constitution, allows that, provides for that. And we've gone through that. Thank God, it's been keenly contested. People have shown so much interest. To me, it depicts the vibrancy of the party. Although, or notwithstanding, a few casualties that are taking place unexpectedly.
It's not few casualties. I mean, that's the argument that, as we speak, 41 MPs lost their seats. In fact, there's accusation that some of the leadership, the party leaders, the hierarchy, and I'm talking about yourself and NEG, actually engineered some of the defeat. How do you respond to that? With reference to Isibeyebo's constituency, that is New Jabusas.
I deny that. I want to be honest with you. There could be individuals who have their own biases and preferences in the various constituencies. But as a policy, I don't think the party, NEC, did not engineer the exit or the defeat of any individual MP. Of course, I would have loved, speaking for myself, this is after the fact, I would have preferred SB being a member of the to retain the seat, considering the very vital role he's been playing.
Chairman of the MPP speaking to my colleague Kwesi Pakawo said, let's head to the Ashanti region, where the region is talking peace after 9 of the incumbent parliamentarians there lost the bid to represent the party in the December polls. Regional organizer Francis Adumako describes the outcome of Saturday's primaries as not so shocking. He says the regional executive will organize peace and unity fora to bring both winners and losers on board for the task ahead. Mr. Adumako also believes that losing candidates especially cannot afford to sit on the fence ahead of the party's general elections campaign. Ohim Interior has more.
9 incumbent MPs failed in their re-election bid as delegates decided otherwise. They include Deputy Rose Minister Kwabena Owusu Adiomi for Ejiso, Daniel Ochem Abuaje for Bantama, Ishaesos Kennedy Kankam and Abdullah Banda for Finso South. The rest are Joseph Kwam, Manson Kwanta, Collins Owusu-Amankwa Menchia North, Dr. Kojo Apiakubi, Achuma Kwangoma, and Insuta Kwamambi Apostles Kwame Asafo-Jay, and also Joyce Dare of Bosome Freho. For Mr. Adumako, the new entrants may be new, but they are true supporters who have contributed diversely to build the party.
All these people who won are not alien to the party. They are part of the party. MPP, we always say we have the men. Definitely, when there is a race of this particular nature, people who deem it fit will by all means come and compete. All those who contested are able men and women of the party. Each of them are capable. So we believe that the delegates have decided, and we should respect the decision of the delegates. I believe that the other people who lost have not lost. The party have won. My prayer is that they should not relent, they should not relax, they should not sit back. We should all come together and fight a common goal.
According to Mr. Adumako, the party will initiate unity discussions with losers and victors to have all hands on deck for 2020 elections. He appeals to all contestants to accept the outcome of the election and join the national campaign.
We don't want a situation whereby the constituency will be divided, because when the constituency is divided, it will be difficult for us to get a maximum number of people going to the voter registration centers to go and register. Now that the election is over, all of us should come together with a united front. There shouldn't be anybody's camp. We shall have the party MPP. My plea first is to all the winners that they should not relax. First, they should move to all those who lost. Invite them. Let's all move together so that we'll move the party forward.
Regional office, do any unity rally or something?
We as a party will also not sit down. We will do our homework. We will bring all the various aspirants together and we'll talk to them so that all of us will unite and move the party forward.
From Kumasi, Ohim Interior reporting.
What would this do to Parliament in itself? Let's have a quick conversation with Dr. Rashid Rahman, who's joining me all the way from Canada via Zoom. Dr. Rashid Rahman, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate your patience. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I'm just wondering, you probably monitored this from wherever you are or over the weekend, and you saw, I mean, at least we're looking at about 40 or 41 people in Parliament who are having to leave Parliament. What does that say to you?
Well, I mean, what it does say is that we are already in some kind of a deficit in terms of the participation and performance of members of Parliament when it comes to the core business of lawmaking and oversight. And these losses that we have witnessed, I think, first of all, the losses are going to have an impact on the remaining time in Parliament, and also would have an impact when we get to the 8th Parliament, because for the remaining time in Parliament, you are going to see these people who have lost. I mean, humanly, they are going to be, I mean, demotivated, if you like, in terms of the performance of their duties. And then when we get to the 8th Parliament, if you add this this number to the possible losses that we are going to see in December, you might be counting about maybe 50% plus attrition rate. And that certainly will have an impact on the work of Parliament.
Some analysts have said that Parliament has a way of re-engineering itself. So even though some people are leaving, it actually affords other people the opportunity to come in and to learn. And these people who are leaving will then be able to hand down the experiences and the knowledge that they've had to these people. Should Parliament not focus rather on a smooth system through which information and knowledge can be passed on to other people rather than be concerned about those who are leaving?
Well, I think there are positives to both arguments, but right now, I think those who argue that knowledge can be passed on, there is no, I can tell you, Gifty, there is no organized and formal way of passing this knowledge and information to new entrants in Parliament. I haven't seen that. I've been involved with this Parliament since the beginning. I haven't seen anything like that. You know, in terms of Parliament re-engineering itself, you know, there is one militating factor in our constitutional arrangement, which is the fact that, you know, we take a lot of MPs from Parliament to join the executive. I mean, that constitutional arrangement already is a big factor that weakens the role of Parliament, because most people go into Parliament, you know, they end up focusing more on their work in the executive than on their work being legislators. So we don't have, you know, critical mass of people who have developed their skills as legislators over the years. I mean, you can just count at the tip of your fingers. I mean, when it comes to you know, the core work of Parliament, lawmaking, and scrutinizing bills and so on. I mean, we have heard over and over, and this is a fact, that there are only a few MPs that, I mean, show interest and demonstrate skill in terms of doing this. And then you have all these things happening. It weakens our Parliament further. And I've heard people, if you permit me, say that, you know, the issue of representation, and people decide who represents them. And I just had the chairman of the MPP say, you know, nobody had any hand in engineering anybody's fall or anybody's entry into, winning or losing and so on. But if you critically look at what happened, maybe the question to ask is, how come a lot of the CEOs of some of our state enterprises won over current MPs, and some of the MPs are very competent MPs, like you talked about Dr. Asibebwa, who heads the Finance Committee. And then over the weekend, I have seen a lot of news items about, I mean, candidates going to retrieve 125 bicycles, some saying we paid the gift tabletop free, and so on. I mean, very, very disturbing. I mean, it's not very much about who is going to go into Parliament and represent people much better. It is more about who can pay. And I think that is what is very disturbing for our democracy currently.
Okay. So finally, Doc, what can we do in terms of maintaining the quality of parliamentary debate, if you like, with the expected end that people will leave anyway, depending on how delegates vote? Is there a way that we can manage this going forward in terms of passing down information to other people and ensuring that too many people who are aligned to the executive do not find themselves in Parliament?
Well, I think, Gipsy, there are a number of things that can be done. I mean, in the long term, I've been reflecting on this myself in terms of some of the work that we have been doing over the years, strengthening Parliament and so on. And then you wake up and, I mean, people disappear and then they don't end up getting the chance to contribute, I mean, the little that they have lent back into our democracy. I mean, I've heard arguments from both sides. I mean, the majority leader and the minority leader about, some form of protection for experienced members of Parliament. I mean, there's a very strong argument to that because in some countries, you see they stagger legislative elections in such a way that not all MPs are presented at the same time for re-election. So that way, if you have a 2-year overlap, then you have a situation where even if you end up losing some MPs, not all experienced MPs will disappear from the floor of the House. That helps in ensuring that knowledge is passed on and people get to learn the ropes before the next elections. For instance, as it is done in the US, where they have midterm elections and then they have the other elections. Others have also spoken about, finding a way to protect some seats. We have seen that a number of seats were protected in these primaries. I mean, it was done in a way that, for me, I would describe some of it as quite undemocratic because a lot of people have complained that, we were forced out and so on. Some have complained we want to file our nominations. We go to the office. The office is closed. We can't find the chairman of the party. We can't pick forms and so on. These are all arrangements that could be done within the party. I believe there is a need for some form of protection, but this is an arrangement that could take a very long time, and that could be done within each of the parties, so that way, based on their legislative agenda going into the elections, they know, which MP to protect and which MP to let go in terms of maybe going to face a competition. And then we've been talking about gender and so on and so forth. For instance, we saw the deputy majority leader. If there was any seat that would be protected in terms of women representation in Parliament, I thought that was one seat that should have been protected. But we saw how, I think it became one of the hotly contested seats in the last. Everybody was watching that particular seat. So, all I'm saying is, if we are not careful, the way money is playing a very huge role in our parliamentary and other elections, and there are no proper mechanisms for ensuring continuity and so on, we might wake up one day and face a situation like what Senegal faced one time. 95% of the MPs disappeared from Parliament. That doesn't build a democracy.
Right.
So I think the parties need to begin carefully thinking about this and making sure that they have in place mechanisms, not to wait until maybe a few months before the primaries and then all this running around and brutal tactics are used to eliminate some people and to protect, some others.
Very well. Doc, thank you so much for your time and also for your patience. Dr. Rashid Rahman is the Executive Director of the African Center for Parliamentary Affairs. He joined us all the way from Canada via Zoom. So it's not the scientists or the political scientists alone who are talking about the NPP primaries. Of course, you should expect to hear from the opposition NDC. They're demanding the immediate release of pastors and church members who were prosecuted for breaching COVID-19 safety protocols. The party is arguing that delegates of the NPP primaries violated the protocols in the full glare of the police, and yet no arrest was made, a situation the NDC believes will thwart the fight against COVID-19. Communications Director for the party, Sami Jemfi, is accusing President Akufo-Addo and the police of selective application of the law. He's been speaking at the party's weekly press briefing.
Were reports by you in the media of how social distancing, wearing of face masks, and other critical COVID-19 preventive protocols were defied and thrown to the dogs as delegates congregated in their hundreds, mingled and interacted, including wild jubilations in the full glare of the police, who are supposed to enforce the law. It is sad, cruel, and reprehensible for President Akufo-Addo, who promulgated the law, that is EI 64, which has led to the arrest, prosecution, and imprisonment of pastors and other Ghanaians, to turn around and supervise the flagrant violation of the same law by his party officials and members with the impunity we saw during their Saturday parliamentary primaries. This, ladies and gentlemen, is unacceptable. This is abominable, particularly at a time church and mosque gatherings have been restricted to a maximum of 100 attendees and a duration of 1 hour. And at a time, Ghanaians who are found not to be wearing face masks are being subjected to all manner of degrading and inhumane treatments. The recklessness and lawlessness displayed by the NPP during their just ended parliamentary primaries, coupled with the selective application of the law on COVID-19 preventive protocols by our law enforcement agencies, make the imprisonment of pastors and Ghanaians who were convicted for breaching public gathering restrictions under EI 64 totally unjustifiable and unfair. And I think I must explain this for emphasis. We are all trying to fight against the spread of the dreaded coronavirus in this country. And so we are all making sacrifices, sacrificing our freedoms, freedom of religion, and so on, adhering to the precautionary protocols which have been outlined by the Ghana Health Service and the World Health Organization to ensure that we keep safe and protect, and prevent the spread of the virus. As a result, President Akufo-Addo has promulgated a law, EI 64, which has imposed restrictions on public gatherings and all that. Even though the restrictions have been reviewed, there are still restrictions. For example, we are not allowed to have more than 100 people in attendance in our churches and mosques and so on. And our pastors, our imams, are abiding by these things. Pastors who were found to have breached these guidelines right from the outset were arrested, prosecuted, and some of them have been jailed. As we speak, people are in jail for breaching COVID-19 preventive protocols. As we speak, churches cannot gather, mosque, people cannot go to the mosque and pray like they would want to do because
Osami Jemfi also describes the what he call the voting as what was characterized by vote buying. He says it's alarming and must be condemned.
As you may be aware, the entire primaries was conducted in an environment where those who could afford the biggest pecuniary or monetary inducements carried the day. Huge amounts of money, I repeat, huge amounts of money. In some cases, 6,000 Ghana cedis per delegate, 5,000 Ghana cedis per delegate, 4,000 Ghana cedis per delegate, and so on, exchange hands in the full glare of the media. While material gifts such as refrigerators, flat screen televisions, motorbikes, tricycles, and other valuables were distributed to bribe and induce party delegates. Ladies and gentlemen, how a party which few years ago was begging for money from kayais and street hawkers, how a party which few years ago toured the world with a cup in hand begging for money, can afford this level of opulence and ostentation 3.5 years into coming into office. after coming into office, speaks volumes of the endemic corruption and thievery that has engulfed the Akufo-Addo government. Because certainly, the money we saw them distributing, the flat screens, the motorcycles, the cars, and other valuables we saw them distributing, is not money, they had before they came into office. Clearly, this is money they have made in the last 3.5 years. And that should give every well-meaning Ghanaian legitimate cause for concern, because they are the very people who few years ago, when they were in opposition, were struggling to pay their utility bills at their party headquarters. They were soliciting for funds from Kayais. They went to China and other parts of the country with a bowl in their hand, led by Dr. Bawumia, begging for money. And so if today they can be distributing as much as 5,000 Ghana cedis per delegate and all these valuables, then we must ask them how they came by this wealth.
Sami Jemfi speaks for the NDC, the opposition NDC. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty Andwapia. I'll take a very quick break. When I return, we'll talk about the Convention People's Party. Well, have you heard from them already? We're barely 6 months to the election. Do they have a flag bearer? Do they have a running mate? What is the party up to? When I return, we'll talk about that. Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Now let's talk about the CPP, the Convention People's Party. It was a savior and revered by many in the country back then. But the party has seen a dip in fortune since the overthrow of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah in 1966. Now the party does not even have a representative in parliament. Could that dip in fortune change? How? Well, at least that's a message from a new face seeking to bring the party back to power in the Fourth Republic. Dr. Divine Ayivo is a former Reverend Minister at the Adventist Church and believes that he can win the 2020 elections for the CPP. He joins me right now in the studio. Dr. Ayivo, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, so has the CPP approved you already as the flag bearer?
We are waiting to go to Congress. We have some internal issues that we're trying to straighten up. So
what kind of internal issues are they?
Well, we have some lawsuit raised by the party legal department against some party officials. And that has been in court for a while, since February. And hopefully we will be finished with that by the 2nd of July.
Okay.
And then we have put in an interim management committee, an IMAC, that's going to take us to Congress.
And when is the Congress supposed to
We are hoping it will be towards the end of July or middle of August.
Why is it, has it taken the CPP so long? Mid of August, then you have September, October, November, December, barely 4 months to get through to an election. Is the CPP serious?
Yes.
How so?
We just had some misfortunes, but the whole country is waiting for CPP. It's the third force that people are waiting for. It's what the youth are looking forward to. The youth, some of them have been unemployed for the past 4 years, and then this 4 years, another 8 years is gone. They have no hope. CPP is for the grassroots. CPP is for the youth. CPP is for the ordinary people. And we are the only ones that look to their welfare. And so when we come in, with those 3 months, we can run a campaign, a very serious campaign, and win.
I see. The CPP has, we've not heard of the CPP. People actually think that it's been run down. So it's such a surprise that you're saying that
it went into hibernation.
CPP went into hibernation.
It went into a little hibernation. And we are coming back. We're rising from the ashes.
So,
and we will take over the administration of this country.
Well, that's easy to say, isn't it?
It's not easy to say.
It's
you have to have a plan.
To say. You just, what's the plan? Share your plan.
You have to have a plan as you're coming in.
Okay.
For if you don't have a plan and you come into office, before you started thinking of it. So we plan to at least finish all the unfinished business. You know, this modern administrations, if one is doing something and he leaves office, the other one doesn't touch it, they leave it. Like the whole airport. NDC started it. It's almost completed, but NPP will not touch it. They leave it like that.
So who are you? Who are you, and why should people even take you and the CPP seriously now?
Well, my message is very simple. People are fed up. People are tired. And they need a change.
Now tell us, what do you bring? If you talk about change, what sort of change are you bringing on the table?
I'm bringing employment for the youth.
How?
How? By opening factories in every district. You know, one district, one factory. It's an Nkrumah's program. It's part of Nkrumah industrialization program. But we have to open the factories, not waiting for colonialists to come and open factories that benefit them, and they ship everything away. No, we have to go to a region, buy the land, clear it, plant the produce, let the people work the farm, we buy the products from them, we process it right there in their region, we do the packaging, the shipping, everything. So people from that region don't have to come to Accra looking for work.
There was a conversation about a merger between the CPP and the PNC. How far with that project?
I have not heard anything about that.
You haven't heard anything about
No.
it? You haven't asked? You don't think that if the CPP should do something like that, it will present the CPP and the PNC together as a stronger and a more serious front?
Oh, if they should come, we're open for discussion.
So why aren't you doing that? I mean, you don't have time.
We don't have time, and we have not had that conversation. If we did, fine. I think getting to September, October, a lot of that will happen.
Really?
When people actually see that we are getting there. People are ambivalent right now. But when they see that we are very serious and we're determined to get there with our slogans, many people will join us.
You say that the CPP is a youthful party and you're looking to touch the youth, but you don't look young.
I'm very energetic. I'm very young inside.
Really?
I might look like that, but that's not it.
How many people does the CPP have on their register or on their in their books now? Do you know?
Our books might not be, like I told you, like you yourself said, you didn't believe that the party was there.
I mean,
right?
We haven't heard about the CPP
for a long
like
time.
forever.
Yes. But people are there and they're on the fences. They're waiting for leadership. They're waiting for somebody who's determined to do this. And they will all fall in place. Even NDC members will be switching. NPP members will be switching.
People usually say that getting to election, all kinds of people come up. They show their face, they come with all kinds of stories, and they say, oh, we want to do this, knowing very well that the party they are representing will not go anywhere in the election. They say people do that to sometimes make themselves popular, make themselves some money, or use it to push their business. Where do you stand on that?
I am a senior Adventist pastor, been pastoring from '92. I don't need popularity. My church has 700 people, and them and their families, I think I have enough of that.
Okay.
I am not coming to look for money. I'm coming to rescue Ghanaians. Ghanaians who go to sleep and when it rains, water comes into their homes. And they've been going through that since 2008 and it's still going on. Our drains are not cleaned. Basic things. Water for some people to drink. They have boreholes in the villages. Boreholes are broken down and nobody's touching it. They are drinking dirty water. Galamsey has soiled some water bodies, but the people have no choice.
You see.
That's what we're coming to do. We're coming to change that. Our roads, the road, even in Accra, Spintex Road, it was started by His Excellency Arthur Mills. It's still there. We drive through holes and puddles even today.
I see. So your church agrees for you to get into politics? They're happy with that?
Well, some of them see it as a calling.
So they're pushing you to go?
Yeah, they're behind me.
I see. I'll give you a few seconds, say 30, 45 seconds, to convince people out there who are watching you right now why they should take you and the CPP seriously, even in this election.
You have to take us seriously. We're coming to continue what Kwame Nkrumah left off. All those 30-something factories that were closed down for no reason, we are going to open. We're going to produce of Ghana, like Katanka cars. We're going to support them. If you go to Germany, you see Mercedes and BMW. You go to France, you see Renault and Citroën. When you go to America, you see Ford and Chevys. When you come to Ghana, you need to see Katanka and New Plant. We're going to promote that instead of paying billions of dollars to Japanese government to bring us the Toyota for us to drive.
Wrap up for me, sir.
So Ghana, I know you are tired. I know you are fed up. I know you're looking for a third force. The only meaningful choice you have is CPP. CPP will change this country and take it back where it belongs. We will tackle education. It doesn't start from the middle, SHS. It will start from the bottom. Nothing begins in the middle. We have to start from the bottom up. And we will change this country for the better.
Dr. Divine Ayevo says he wants to contest on the ticket of the CPP. But you earlier wanted to, I mean, you can slowly, bring down your mask so people can see your face. He said he wanted you to see his face so that you can vote for him. Okay, so that's his face. As long as you don't speak, it's fine. You can put it on now. Okay, so that's Dr. Divine Ayevo. He's an Adventist pastor who says he now wants to do politics, and he's doing that on the ticket of the CPP. I wish you all the best,
Thank you very much.
And thank you for coming through. All right, so coronavirus is still new to the world, essentially. So research continues into solutions to the pandemic. Today, we bring you a new technology that's set to speed up the process of testing, which has been one of the biggest problems in detecting positive cases. And guess what? The technology is here in Ghana. It's put together by Siemens Technologies with partnerships with Pacific Diagnostics. And we have a representative of the two entities joining me via Zoom. Rajesh Kumar is country manager for Pacific Diagnostics, and Christopher Aziawa is a service engineer for Pacific Diagnostics, partners for Siemens, who are joining me right now via Zoom. Hello, Rajesh. Rajesh, I hope that you hear me. Tell us about this new device that can help us get our test or get through our test faster. And I understand you're muted, so kindly unmute for me and help us. Hi, Rajesh. So tell us about this new device.
Hi, how are you? So this device is called Advia Centaur XPT, which is immunoassay analyzer. So if we look at the COVID testing, there are possibly two ways of doing the testing. One is the molecular, which is the detection of the viral RNA. Another one is the serology, that is the detection of the antibodies. So this Advia Centaur XPT, it works on the principle of serology. And if we look at the CDC and the WHO, they both are now emphasizing that we should work on a massive scale.
See you properly. Sorry to interrupt, but we can't really see you properly. Hopefully you'll be able to adjust your camera so we can see you properly. But go ahead and continue. Tell us how this device works.
Yeah, now
Yes, perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if we look at the CDC and the WHO are now emphasizing that we should be doing a massive scale testing to address the challenge of COVID-19. Because for a safe opening of the society, we need to identify the patients who are active as well as those patients who have the prior exposure of the disease. So this Advia Centaur XPT is the best suitable machine to do the COVID testing, especially for the serology testing. Because if we look at the throughput of this machine this machine is capable of doing 240 tests per hour. So you can say that in a day, this machine can perform about more than 5,000 tests in a day.
So this device does 240 tests per hour, and you say it can do more than 500,000 tests in a day?
Yes.
So are you in touch or in collaboration with, are you in talks with the Ghanaian authorities to try and introduce this some way, somehow in Ghana with your partners?
Yes, we are trying from our level, but yes, we have not yet come up to any conclusion. And the reason is because, currently we look into the way we are doing the testing. We are mainly focusing on the antigen test, and we are not focusing on the antibody test. Whereas if we look at the guidelines, now the guidelines are saying that, look, this is a time where we need to do more on the sensitivity. So for getting a better sensitivity report, we need to combine the test. Because if you look at the testing, a patient who have the symptoms, you are advising him to go for a test. Or if you are a person have traveled to a place where there was a pandemic of COVID-19, you are now telling him to go for a test. And the third category is where you suspect that a person was with a suspected patient or a confirmed patient of corona, you are doing the testing.
Let me bring in
those patients.
Let me bring in Christopher Asiawa, who's representing you in this country, see how we can make this work in Ghana to call it a wrap. Hello, Christopher.
Hello?
Yes, Christopher, if you can adjust your camera, good. Come a bit closer. So how soon can we get this machine to work in Ghana, briefly?
Yes, sorry.
Right.
Yes, we are ever ready to supply the machine if the government is ready.
Have you engaged?
Yes, we are trying to engage, but it's not easy, like my country manager said from the beginning. They started with this using PCR. And PCR, normally what it does is that it can do early detection. But if you come to, for example, from 15 days going, the sensitivity is very, very low. So they can just give maybe false negative or false positive. But if you come to, for example, serology tests, the more, like from 15 days going, your body will develop antibody to allow you to get more results. So because of that, the sensitivity for serology from 15 days going is 100%. How do you get negative, false negative or false positive?
I see. Sounds interesting. And you say you're engaging, but what's government telling you? What's government telling you?
Hopefully, we are also waiting for some better results, better information from the government, and hopefully through your channel, we might help out to get something.
I can hardly hear what you're saying. I'm getting an echo there. I don't know where it's coming from. Try and see if you can make that a bit clearer for me and the viewers. What did government say again?
Okay, we haven't heard anything from the government.
Okay.
So hopefully, with your help, with your TV channel, we can get something to know. But yes, the machine is physically present in the country.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can immediately, as soon as the government asks us, we can immediately install the machine and we can immediately get the testing kits for the machine.
Very well, very well. Thanks for your time this afternoon. Christopher Asiawa and Rajesh Kumar, they are with Pacific Diagnostics, the company that's partnering with Siemens, and they're looking to bring a device into the country that can help us do rapid tests and to do so faster. And as you heard, the WHO has been saying to test. We're not doing mass testing. Government has indicated so, but they're saying that with this device, we can do a lot more tests in one day, talking about 500,000 plus tests. Gentlemen, thank you for your time and for explaining this product to us. Hopefully, it becomes useful to us in our fight against coronavirus. Now, still on coronavirus, some persons who have recovered from the disease at one of the country's treatment centers are dreading returning home due to stigma fears. Others who are still receiving treatment have not told their relatives they are at a COVID treatment center for fear of being shunned. Our colleague Gary L. Smith, who has been at the University of Ghana's Medical Center since his positive status was confirmed, has been speaking about real stories being shared by some of the patients on hospitalization and others who fear returning home even after discharge.
People out there don't understand that if I am recovered, it means this. If I'm told that I cannot reinfect people, it's for this duration and that duration. So I think that public education hasn't gone down well with that. And of course, as you know, where health is concerned, uncertainty breeds fear and hence stigmatization. So you've got a case where a guy here called home and he said, because he came in about 5 days ago. Now, you know that the way the illness works, it is entirely possible that in 5 days, when he takes his meds and everything, it will clear, okay? Depending on the time he got his COVID-19 test done and when he was isolated. So he's been here about 5 days and he probably will have to go home. And people are saying that it's not possible that you have been there only 5 days and you are coming home. You get my point? Okay. So, yeah, these are some of the issues. And then one, so that's just one. And then two, these are from my personal interactions. People's workplaces are not prepared for post-recovery patients. So you have a lot of offices putting investments into hand sanitizers, you know, social distancing protocols, educating people on how to not get the disease, but are totally unprepared for what happens after you have left a facility like this. How do we receive you? How do we communicate to the other staff that you can't reinfect them? How do we tell them that they should not behave this way toward you? And that is just one of them.
Gary R. Smith there. Well, President Akufo-Addo has had cause to once again appeal to Ghanaians to accept persons who have recovered from the disease as concerns stigma is still a hindrance to the fight against the virus. During his 12th address Sunday, President Akufo-Addo said there is nothing shameful about contracting coronavirus.
Part of the reason for the spread of the virus is the reluctance of some persons to admit they have tested positive and go into quarantine for fear of being stigmatized, and in the process, continue to be agents of the spread of the virus. Persons who test positive for the virus, once they recover, do not pose any danger whatsoever to anyone, because the scientists tell us that they can no longer spread the virus. As I've said before, there is nothing shameful about contracting the virus. And consequently, we do not have to lose our sense of community because of this pandemic.
It could happen to anybody, you, me. We don't need to stigmatize. Now let's take you to Wager now, where a section of the road from Kaswa to Accra has been blocked as a result of last night's downpour. The situation is causing heavy traffic this afternoon, leaving many commuters very stranded and frustrated. PSA Nanaya Safo with a report.
I'm here at the Wager Road in Gas South Municipal District of the Greater Accra region, where currently there is teeming vehicular traffic due to the downpour that followed yesterday. Now, behind me, the road here might seem clearer. That's the road leading from Kaswa to Accra. But as we turn to the other side, it's a rather unfortunate story. As you can see, the roads here are heavily muddied and in fact are less pliable, and thus affording less speed for drivers moving all the way from Kaswa to Accra. I'm going to speak to some of the pedestrians who have attempted to cross the roads today, and of course some drivers who expressed their grievances here.
PSC Namaya Safo weather report. And Ghana's fastest growing insurance company, Suno Assurance, has rewarded its retail executives for sterling performances in last year, which saw them win industry award for most innovative company of the year 2019 after introducing cutting-edge solution to increase insurance penetration in the country. It is also a member of the Ghana Club 100 for 4 consecutive occasions and received the Business Executive Excellence Award. 71 of its retail executives who helped the company realize that feat were rewarded at a special ceremony here in Accra yesterday, with Naomi Ofosu being crowned Queen of Retail. For her prize, she receives a Hyundai Saloon vehicle. And the first runner-up, Mercy Fabi, and second runner-up, Abraham Bagulo, were given 30,000 and 25,000 cedis respectively. Here is Managing Director for the company, Prince Adeyemi Adetuo.
Yeah, we give car, we give a ticket, to Dubai. We give money for land. We have been doing it every year. So we are here again today. So I mean to say that our retail sector have been contributing about 30% every year to our gross premium income. So it is a force to reckon with. That's why we decide every year we are giving back. We are recognizing hard work. We are recognizing the commitment, the faith our retail officer with us, because of our spread in Ghana. While there was lockdown in Accra, Kumasi, Tema, all our other offices, they are working. So this one is one of the the advantage we have over others. I can tell you today, as at end of May, while other companies are recording negative growth compared with last year, because they didn't really impacted them. I'm happy to inform you that as at the end of May, we are recording over 30% growth in our premium income compared with last year. So you can agree with me when I say, because we are taking initiative before now to discharge our operations. So the COVID-19 does not have much effect on our operations. We thank God.
Suno Assurances Ghana Limited introduced the first digital purchase of motor and travel insurance on mobile devices called EasyBuy. And this is the only platform that affords clients the ability to initiate motor insurance purchase on a mobile device and complete payment with issuance of an e-certificate or insurance. Well, we wrap up the show today. You can log on to myjoyonline.com for more news and information. I really appreciate your time with me here. Let's do this again tomorrow. My name is Gifty Andopi.